Let's get to four downs. Four downs is right now, and it's brought to you by our friends at the Hemp House. We're going to break down Fred White's knowledge of how Tennessee needs to upset Georgia and what exactly they need to do. Four downs is brought to you by our friends at the Hemp House, and they go, look, the big orange crunch. Here we go. It is four downs right now.
Four downs. Four questions. Four answers. The Dave Hooker Show. Four downs. A presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Before we get rolling, I'm curious, Fred. I'm going to ask you four keys to the game. And I wonder if they would be your number one key, if any of them, if I hit the nail on the head or I missed the mark. So what would be your number one key before we break down some keys for Tennessee beating Georgia on Saturday?
Well, for one, when it comes to our defense, we have to be able to stop the run. If Georgia gets that running game going, now you got play action pass working with that big tight end that they have. He can get open on his own. We don't need to help him with those things. Also, being able to get pressure on the quarterback. I think those are the things that have helped you, but you got to get them in long down and distance in order to be able to do so. That means stopping the run early. And as well, when it comes on the offensive side of the ball, you actually have to, without question, put points on the board when you have an opportunity to. And I'm not talking about 3 points. If you get in the red zone, you need to put the ball in the end zone. Field goals won't win this game. It might win one at the end of it, but you have to be in position in order to do so. You have to put points on the board. We need to score some points. And that means we got to be able to extend the football field, spin the field when it comes to throwing the ball. Vertical passing games need to be on point, which opens up some of our running game because Georgia has a good running defense. Their rushing defense is pretty good. So you got to look at those things and try to figure out how do we neutralize that defensive line, and we don't want them to start teeing off on us because we're in long down and distance. But I think sometimes the pass opens up the run, and we're going to need that to happen in this game. So those safeties are not in the box when it comes to a running game. We need to keep them out of the box by throwing the ball down the field vertically.
Yeah,
and testing their defense.
I like all that. Four Downs brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Go to hemphousechat with2ts.com, hemphousechat with2ts.com. And again, they've got the big orange crunch. What should we do here, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Okay, well, people have done that. What about first down?
Coop here. First down.
Thank you, Coop. The running game. Tennessee needs to best Georgia by how many rushing yards at the end of the game to beat the number one ranked Bulldogs? Fred?
By 1 yard. Every game that we've outrushed the other team, we've actually won the game.
Yep.
So, and if you go back and you look at the entire season that we've played, every team we've outrushed, we've won. So if we beat them by 1 yard rushing, I feel like we can win the game.
Yep, I can't argue with that, Caleb. Any thoughts on that? If Tennessee outrushes Georgia by even 1 yard, I think they've got a much better chance of winning this football game.
Yeah, I'm totally on Fred's side there because that also means that one of the keys is for Tennessee not to get torched on the ground themselves, which is kind of what Georgia did to them last year. So if they're out rushing Georgia, that's a huge, great first sign for Tennessee.
And it also helps us when it comes to time of possession as well. Keeping our defense off the football field and keeping them fresh.
What down, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right, I've got written down no Joe mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes in a game. I'm going to say no big Joe mistakes. And the Dylan Sampson fumble, that just happens. I understand that. Last week when you bumped into the running back, and, things are going to happen, but this is the game where things don't need to happen. Big things that hurt you, such as turnovers. And Fred was one of the first to point out in September when I was kind of on Joe that he wasn't turning the ball over. That hasn't been consistent through the season. But, man, if you go against the number one team in the nation, Fred, you're going to struggle if you turn the ball over.
True. But in a game like this, you have 2 games left in the season. 2 games. That's it. Georgia, Vanderbilt. throw the kitchen sink at him. If he makes a mistake in this game, it don't matter anyway. You got 2 games left. The more important thing though, is don't go for it on 4th down on your side of the 30, on your side of the 50. I'm just being honest. That'll kill your defense when it comes to anything. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of I don't care about how many turnovers I don't turn him loose. Turn him loose, coach. This is the last game of the season, really, because Vanderbilt you should win anyway. Turn him loose. Throw everything at him. Everything but the kitchen sink. You can actually throw that in too, and the toilet.
And the toilet, and the vanity. You can throw that in as well. So that leads me to 3rd down. Is that right, Coop? What down we got?
Cooper Mays here. 2nd down.
Oh.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. 3rd down.
Linebacker play. I felt like I watched the Missouri game last year, and Elijah Herring was chasing a lot of people. How important is it for Tennessee's front 7 in general to create some havoc and to be more disciplined in their run fits and gaps?
Well, I know we're probably going to have a situation where the guy is a mismatch for everybody when it comes to Bowers, their tight end. However, our front 7 play is key because I feel like we need to be able to get pressure up front on this quarterback. And also early run down blitzes. 1st, 2nd down blitzes for run game. I think those are things you're going to have to do. But when you come on blitzes, you have to make the play. Somebody has to step up and make a play. I don't feel like you sit back in zone in this game. I feel like you bring it on 1st and 2nd downs because it's run downs. And then you give Georgia the opportunity to try to adjust, and you change it up in the 2nd half. But I think getting them in long down and distance, not just with your front 4, your front 7 is going to be very paramount. And that's bringing your linebackers inside, rushing outside with your nickel and those type of things to be able to bring some pressure and just run pressure. Run blitzes are going to be key in this game if we can do so.
For those that didn't see that Sunday show with Fred, brought to you by our friends at Herald Group Security Solutions, one of the things that we talked about briefly after the UConn game is Tennessee played an awful lot of zone and didn't even really zone blitz. And I know, Fred, that was a bit perplexing to you. That's not what you want to do against Georgia, right? You got to bring some pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is your last chance to show what you can do, and you're at home. So you will have the crowd behind you. So you throw everything at them. Everything. It's not a game you sit back and do just a regular game plan. I think this is one of those where every exotic blitz I have, I'm bringing it. Every last one. Everything that's in my toolbox, I'm taking it out.
Love it, man.
That's hot.
If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what it takes. All right, and last one, Caleb, this one's yours.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
That's hot.
What do you Paris Hilton for you on this Friday?
Hey man, I think you just added the extra 2 X's to X when you did that.
That's right. Follow us on X or XXX.
That's hot.
That's where the White Hooker Show could go.
Hilarious.
So, Fred, let's talk a little bit about just the simple fact of pride. And because you're right, they can't win a championship this year now. That's out the window. But where do you see this team is from a pride perspective? Do you see one of those teams like, do you remember 2011 Kentucky when Tyler Bray and Derrick Rogers, and yes, I'm going to call them out, decided I don't want to go to a bowl game, so we're going to lose to Kentucky? And do you see that with this team, or do you see, no, we lost last week, but we have a lot of pride and we want to finish strong? No,
but I feel like we have a whole different, when the difference maker is the leadership. Leadership is your head coach. I don't see guys doing that with Josh. I can see that them doing it with the coaches they had previously to that. I mean, who was the coach again? Name his name. What is his name? What's his name?
Derek Dooley.
Yeah, that's the one that was trying to tell you about how to take a shower. Come on, man. Shut up.
That was really, that was a very bizarre.
I wouldn't want to play for him either. But no, I mean, I think you have some pride in yourself. But this group is different. This is your leadership. Your leadership says something completely different. This leadership says, let's go out and win, try to win every game.
Caleb can appreciate that. We kind of walked away from that whole shower press conference as like, This is bizarro. Caleb wants to ask about Josh Dobbs, which I'm glad we're going to work in before we get your pick, because he not only is the story of the NFL, he's kind of the poster child in some ways. He was on the Twitter page of the NFL. He's just been an incredible story. He's hard not to love and appreciate. Caleb, you wanna tee up Fred for Josh Dobbs? I think I kind of already did. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask you, Fred, how, as a former Vol, how gratifying is it to see a guy like Josh Dobbs who, he set for 6 years as a journeyman in the NFL, paying his dues, and was part of a era. We talk about bad head coaches. Josh Dobbs was single-handedly uplifting Butch Jones for 2 years by himself, basically.
Yeah.
And then the year after Dobbs left was when Butch Jones had his meltdown and said that Shy Tuttle fell on a helmet. But what does it mean to you to see a former Vol like Josh Dobbs finally, after working so hard, getting his shot and really making the most of it as a quarterback?
I hate calling him former Vol. Once a Vol, always a Vol for life, baby. But
and by the way, Fred is the one who started VFL. It wasn't Derek Comb My Hair Dooley.
It definitely was not Derek Comb My Hair Dooley or the orange pants or anything or the shower guy. Absolutely was not him. I guarantee you that. And I have receipts, like Deion Sanders says. I keep receipts. But I'm happy for Josh. I think Josh is first of all, he's a great football player. Well, he's an even more phenomenal person. Very smart, intelligent kid. I think he is one of the most impressive guys I've ever seen that came through the University of Tennessee. Might be one of the smartest to ever come through and play football at Tennessee as well. I'm happy for him. He picks up these offenses like it's nothing. And that's just, I mean, you think about it. The game he played in Minnesota, he hadn't even taken a snap from the center. I mean,
he didn't know any of the receivers' names. It's not like he could say
he didn't
Bob.
know anyone on the team's name.
It's not like he could say Bob, run a dig route, be like, who the hell's Bob?
Yeah, I'm very impressed with him, and I'm happy for him. And I know right now that Cleveland lost their quarterback for the rest of the season. And he was with them preseason. I know they're probably kicking themselves right now because they need a quarterback. And I think Josh is getting an opportunity. And even though he's on a team right now, that when Kirk Cousins comes back, he may still be the starting quarterback because he's highly paid and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. However, does he come back to be the same quarterback? But I think Josh, doing what he's doing right now, someone is looking at Josh and thinking, you know what, this kid may be an option for us. And I'm happy to see him with talent around him. That Minnesota football team is talented. They don't even have their best receiver in Jefferson. Jefferson's not playing yet. So just imagine what that offense is going to look like with Jefferson back at the receiver position for him. That gives him an extra weapon. I think the teams that have signed Josh didn't have a lot of weapons around him. And I'm happy that he's getting an opportunity to show what he can do if he has weapons around him.
Yeah, it's funny. You go to a place like the Cowboys where the owner falls in love with you and you've got a job forever. Is Dak Prescott that much more talented than Josh Dobbs? I'll say something that, Fred, you may think is crazy, and you know ball way, 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 way better than me. I would, as a Cowboys fan, I would take a Josh Dobbs over a Dak Prescott because I know what I'm going to get each and every week with Dak up and down. Thoughts?
I'd like to see what he could do with that offense that they have, the talent they have. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got a running back in the backfield there, you got a good tight end, you got a good defense, you got a good team overall. I'd love to see Josh in something like that. But, hey, man, I'm good. I'm happy with where Josh is right now.
I am too. But that's kind of my ultimate compliment is I would like to see him be a Cowboy instead when it comes to
I'm going to say this now after watching Buffalo the other night. Josh may be the best Josh starting at quarterback in the NFL right now.
Golly, that dude's weird, Josh Allen, isn't he, Fred? It's like he wants to be Brett Favre. Does he know that Brett Favre threw like 300 interceptions?
Yeah, but Brett Favre is also still in the Hall of Fame. So, I mean...
yeah, but
he also stole welfare recipients in Mississippi. So, he's also just a terrible human being.
Let me ask you this, Fred. Would you rather have Troy Aikman's career, 3 Super Bowls, not considered the God's greatest gift to strong arm passers, and you don't have the numbers that Brett Favre has, but you also didn't turn the ball over 300 times? Who would you rather be?
But also, I'm looking at it from a different standpoint. When you look at Troy Aikman. You look at what he had on his football team. You talk about an offensive line that all of them are pretty much in the Hall of Fame, some of the greatest players to ever play the game. And one of the best running backs, arguably the best running back to ever play the game, as well as one of the best receivers. I mean, and tight end is also in the Hall of Fame, receiver in the Hall of Fame, running back. You probably shouldn't throw that many interceptions with a team like that.
That's true. Sterling Sharp wasn't bad, though. I think you would agree with that Packers team with a few less Brett Favre interceptions should have won more than one Super Bowl. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay.
I can agree with that, yes.
All right. Give me
Well, a picture of Brett Favre that is not flattering was also intercepted by the public. And unfortunately, that's out in the ether now.
Oh,
I can guarantee you Troy Aikman would never send a picture like that.
Yeah, you talking about little Brett?
That's hot.
This was coming off the rails, fellas.
What do you think of that, Peyton?
They're like, that is total bullshit.
All right. Give me a pick for this game. Tell me why I'm crazy or right that I've got Tennessee winning this football game 31-28.
Wow, you're very close to my score. 33-31 is what my score is, and it's Tennessee winning the game. But I'm going to say this. I think the play on the football field is going to be very major. But the other major part of this game is going to be our crowd being in the game. We need to be able to make Georgia call 2 timeouts each half for just being loud, so they can't hear each other and communicate with each other. Those are things I think is going to help us in this game. Now, our team does have to play well in order for us to get to that point, but we do need our crowd to be as loud as possible in this game. This is the last chance for you to get your vocal cords out of whack. Give it everything you got. Everything you got. If you need to have a shot before, a beer before, or popcorn, whatever you need, grab it real quick and get yourself ready, because I need you to be as loud as possible when it comes to Saturday.
Amen. Meth, ecstasy, cocaine, whatever you need. Get
nah,
out there.
I didn't say that. That's all day, guys. That's the hooker part of this show.
What you probably need is the Big Orange Crunch. Use the promo
you don't want
code
that.
on
You don't want the Big
Hip
Orange Crunch.
It's an uppity. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Fred, have a blessed weekend. I know it's special for you. I'm sure you're going to be at the game, and it being the Tennessee-Georgia game, you being from Georgia and doing so much for Tennessee, I'm sure it's pretty cool, man. So have a blessed week and be safe, sir.
Yes, sir. You do the same, man. You guys have a good one and go Vols, baby.